Okay, welcome back. Day one of reading aloud to the camera. I actually did this sort of habit for the past 2 days. I think I speak already much better, but it's up to you to judge me, basically. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Okay, today we are reading Never Finished by David Goggins. Chapter 7 The Reckoning. I'm actually in the middle of this episode, but anyways. That seemed kind of funny, to be honest. I don't think we went this fast last year, she said. Oh, you noticed? I asked, smiling to myself. Call Casey and tell him it's on. I accelerated uphill, which took Kish by surprise. As pacer, it was her job to stay with me, and she sprinted to catch up. In fact, to her great displeasure, and for the first time in the race, I was running every hill. Finally, when we arrived at the bottom of another incline, she grabbed my arm to stop me. Don't you want to walk this? She asked, breathless. Okay, I said, laughing to myself. But before we reached the top, I took off again. Kish is a very good runner, but she wasn't expecting to be in a workout this deep into my race, especially after all the talk about ruptured tendons. I could see it. I could hear her breath. She started calling out hills well ahead of time, unless I called for intervals first. Several times I told her we would run for 5 minutes and walk for 3, only to stretch those 5-minute intervals to 20 and 25 minutes. I enjoyed watching her stew in the unknown. That's it. So this is day 2 of reading aloud for 30 days. Today we're reading Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. And precisely we will be reading book 4. Wherever it is in agreement with nature, the ruling power within us takes a flexible approach to circumstances, always adapting itself easily to both practicality and the given event. It has no favored material for its work, but sets out on its objectives in a conditional way, turning any obstacle into material for its own use. It is like a fire mastering whatever falls into it. A small flame would be extinguished, but a bright fire rapidly claims as its own all that is heaped on it, devours it all, and leaps up yet higher in consequence. No action should be undertaken without aim or other than in conformity with a principle affirming to the art of life. Men seek retreats for themselves, in the country, by the sea, in the hills, and you yourself are particularly prone to this yearning. But all this is quite unphilosophic when it is open to you, at any time you want, to retreat into yourself. No retreat offers someone more quiet and relaxation than that into his own mind, especially if he can dip into thoughts there which put him at immediate and complete ease. And by ease, I simply mean a well-ordered life. So constantly give yourself this retreat and renew yourself. The doctrines you will visit there should be few and fundamental, sufficient at one meeting to wash away all your pain and send you back free of resentment at what you must rejoin. And what it is you will resent: human wickedness. Recall the conclusion that rational creatures are born for each other's sake, that tolerance is a part of justice, the wrongdoing is not deliberate. Is there any quote I really like from here? Oh, here's the one. Quote, no, you do not have thousands of years to live. Urgency is on you. While you live, while you can, become good. Good quote. What's up? It's day 3 of reading aloud every day for the next 30 days. Today we're reading Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Chapter 4, titled Taking Souls. The first concussion grenade exploded at close range, and from there everything unraveled in slow motion. 1 minute we were chilling in the common room, bullshitting, watching war movies, getting pumped up for the battle we knew was coming. Then that first explosion led to another, and suddenly Psycho Pete was in our faces, screaming at the top of his lungs. His cheeks flushed candy apple red, that vein in his right temple throbbing. When he screamed, his eyes bugged out and his whole body shook. Break the fuck out. Move, move, move. My boat crew sprinted for the door single file, just like we'd planned. Outside, Navy SEALs were firing their M60s into the darkness toward some invisible enemy. It was the bad dream we'd been waiting for our entire lives, the lucid nightmare that would define or kill us. Every impulse we had told us to hit the dirt, but at that moment, movement was our only option. The repetitive, deep bass thud of machine gun fire penetrated our guts. The orange halo from another explosion in the near distance provided a shock of violent beauty, and our hearts hammered as we gathered on the grinder awaiting orders. This war This was war alright, but it wouldn't be fought on some foreign shore. This one, like most battles we fight in life, would be won or lost in our own minds. Psycho Pete stomped the pocked asphalt, his brown slick with sweat, the muzzle of his rifle streaming in the foggy night. Welcome to Hellwick, gentlemen, he said calmly this time, in that sing-song collie surfer drawl of his. He looked us up and down like a predator eyeing his kill. It will be my great pleasure to watch you suffer. Great chapter, by the way. Recommend it. Hey, what's up, bro? Day 4 of reading aloud for the next 30 days, okay? It's funny because I'm just speaking through a smile, just to see how I would feel. Today we are reading The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. Chapter 45. Breathe down the front. All men tend to have blocks in the front of their body, along an imaginary line that runs from the top of the head through the tongue, throat, heart, solar plexus, navel, and genitals, down to the perineum. The principal bodily key to mastering the world and women is maintaining a full and open front of the body at all times. The best method is through full and relaxed breathing, drawing energy down the front and freeing attention from neurotic self-concern. When you get nervous, your stomach tightens. When you are saddened, a lump forms in your throat. When you are threatened, your solar plexus feels squeezy. When you think hard, your forehead wrinkles. When you consider the unsure future, you tense your jaw. For much of the day, you are tightening, tensing, and contracting the front of your body from the top of your head, through your chest, and all the way down past your gut. The front of your body, especially your belly, is the place where your energy meets the energy of the world. When the front of your body is open and relaxed, your power flows freely and your presence fills the room. You've probably been with people who seem to occupy more space in the room than most people. They seem to command attention, even though they are not doing anything obvious to attract it. The front of their body is so open that their energy flows freely through the room, magnifying their presence. Such people are remarkably relaxed, poised, and attentive. They are not all wrapped up in their own self-concern, hunched over a sunken chest, gritting their teeth and hardly breathing. This is the picture of a closed belly and chest. If the front of your body has accumulated tension throughout the day and throughout the years, you will hardly be able to sit up straight. Your belly and chest will be tight. Your thoughts will center on yourself. Your energy will remain constricted in your head and your awareness limited to self-concern. Your powerful presence won't fill the room at all. You might not even be noticed. Right now, notice your breath. Are you inhaling so deeply you feel your genitals bulging slightly? Is your belly rising and falling with your inhale and exhale like a mighty bellows? Your belly and lower abdomen are special places of power. If your breath does not reach those areas, you can't recharge your batteries. You will feel weak and unsure of yourself. Your effect in the world will be minimal, less than your full potential. Thank you for watching. See ya! Okay, day 5 of reading aloud. Today we're gonna read again The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. I like this book for this series because this book has short chapters actually. Some of the chapters are like 2 to 3 pages and I just can read the whole chapter without, just reading only a part of the chapter. That's why I think, I don't know, maybe I will read other books also, but I think I will read some of the parts from this book mostly for the rest of this series. So, chapter 8, Lean Just Beyond Your Edge. In any given moment, a man's growth is optimized if he leans just beyond his edge, his capacity, his fear. He should not be too lazy, happily stagnating in the zone of security and comfort. Nor should he push far beyond his edge, stressing himself unnecessarily, unable to metabolize his experience. He should lean just slightly beyond the edge of fear and discomfort, constantly, in everything he does. Once you are honest with yourself about your real edge, it is best to lean just beyond it. Very few men have the guts for this practice. Most men either settle for the easy path or self-aggrandize themselves by taking the extreme hard path. Your insecurity may cause you to doubt yourself, and so you take the easy way, not even approaching your real edge or your real gift. Alternatively, your insecurity may lead you to push, seeking to become victorious over your own sense of lack. Both approaches avoid your actual condition in the moment, which is often fear. If you are stressfully avoiding your fear, you cannot relax into the fearless. Your fear is the sharpest definition of yourself. You should know it. You should feel it virtually constantly. Fear needs to become your friend, so that you are no longer uncomfortable with it. Rather, primary fear shows you that you are at your edge. Staying with the fear, staying at your edge, allows real transformation to occur. Neither lazy nor aggressive, playing your edge allows you to perceive the moment with the least amount of distortion. You are willing to be with what is rather than trying to escape it by pulling back from it, or trying to escape it by pushing beyond it into some future goal. Fear of fear may lead you to hang back, living a lesser life than you are capable. Fear of fear may lead you to push ahead, living a false life, off-center, tense and missing the moment. Own your fear and lean just beyond it in every aspect of your life, starting now. This is day 6 of reading aloud every day. Today we are reading a book by David Goggins called Can't Hurt Me. So, chapter 10, The Empowerment of Failure. On September 27, 2012, I stood in a makeshift gym on the second floor of 30 Rockefeller Center, prepared to break the world record for pull-ups in a 24-hour period. That was the plan, anyway. Savannah Guthrie was there along with an official from the Guinness Book of World Records and Matt Lawyer. Yeah, that fucking guy. Again, I was gunning to raise money, a lot of money this time, for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation, but I also wanted that record. To get it, I had to perform under the Today Show spotlight. The number in my head was 4,020 pull-ups. Sounds superhuman, right? Did to me too, until I dissected it and realized if I could knock out 6 pull-ups on the minute every minute for 24 hours, I would shatter it. That's roughly 10 seconds of effort and 50 seconds of rest each minute. It wouldn't be easy, but I considered it doable given the work I would put in. Over the past 5 to 6 months, I rocked over 40,000 pull-ups and was stoked to be on the precipice of another huge challenge. After all the pull-ups ups and downs since my second heart surgery, I needed this. The good news was the surgery worked. For the first time in my life, I had a fully functioning heart muscle, and I wasn't in a rush to run or ride. I was patient with my recovery. The Navy wouldn't clear me to operate anyway, and in order to stay in the SEALs, I had to accept a non-deployable, non-combat job. Admiral Winters kept me in recruiting for 2 more years, and I remained on the road, shared my story with willing ears, and worked to win hearts and minds. But all I really wanted to do was what I was trained to do, and that's fight. I tried to solve that wound with trips to the gun range, but shooting targets only made me feel worse. In 2011, after recruiting for 4+ years and spending 2.5 years on the disabled list due to my heart issues, I was finally medically cleared to operate again. Admiral Winters offered to send me anywhere I wanted to go. He knew my sacrifices and my dreams, and I told him I had unfinished business with Delta. He signed my papers, and after a 5-year wait, my someday had arrived. Okay, day 7 of reading aloud for the next 30 days. Today we're reading once again Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, book number 5. At break of day, when you are reluctant to get up, have this thought ready to mind. I am getting up for a man's work. Do I still then resent it if I am going out to do what I was born for, the purpose for which I was brought into the world? Or was I created to wrap myself in blankets and keep warm? But this is more pleasant. Were you then born for pleasure, all for feeling, not for action? Can you not see plants, birds, ants, spiders, bees, all doing their own work, each helping in their own way to order the world? And then you do not want to do the work of a human being. You do not hurry to the demands of your own nature. But one needs the rest too. One does indeed, I agree. But nature has set limits to this too, just as it has to eating and drinking, and yet you go beyond these limits, beyond what you need. Not in your actions though, not any longer. Here you stay below your capability. The point is that you do not love yourself. Otherwise you would love both your own nature and her purpose for you. Other men love their own pursuit and absorb themselves in its performance to the exclusion of bath and food. But you have less regard for your own nature than the smith has for his metal work, the dancer for his dancing, the money grabber for his money, the exhibitionist for his little moment of fame. Yet these people, when impassioned, give up food and sleep for the promotion of their pursuits. And you think social action less important, less worthy of effort? Okay, this is day 8 of reading aloud. Today we'll be reading my journal. Actually, first few pages of my journal, I thought it would be a great addition to reading books. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm grateful for fasting in the morning. It's really powerful when used correctly. I'm grateful for spending time with my girl. I'm grateful for fighting my demons in the gym. I'm grateful for walking with my dog and breathing fresh air outside. I'm grateful for seeing progress in the gym and being like a leader who pushes everyone else forward. So another day. I'm grateful for playing board games with my girl. I'm grateful for little programming wins. They really boost me to go learn and do more of it. I'm grateful for doing snow exposure outside. I'm grateful for driving in heavy snow. It's good to see the conditions that hard. I'm grateful my girl bought me this notebook, which I'm writing in currently. I'm writing in. Now I can connect accountability, journaling, and conclusions in one place. Thank you for watching. Okay, so welcome back. This is day 9 of reading aloud for the next 30 days. So today I will read from the laptop because I forgot the book. As you can see, we're in the different place, so let's get straight into it. Chapter 11, Delivering the Talk. Oh, also, we are reading Quick and Easy Way to Effective Speaking by Dale Carnegie. Chapter 11, Delivering the Talk. Would you believe it? There are 4 ways, and only 4 ways, in which we have contact with the world. We are evaluated and classified by these 4 contacts. What we do, how we look, what we say, and how we say it. When I first started to teach public speaking classes, I spent a great deal of time on the use of vocal exercises to develop resonance, increase the range of voice, and enhance inflectional agility. It was long, however, before I began to see the utter futility of teaching adults how to project their tones into the upper sinuses of how to form liquid vowels. This is all very fine for those who can devote 3 or 4 years to improving themselves in the art of vocal delivery. I realized that my students would have to settle for the vocal equipment they were born with. I found that if I expended the time and energy I formerly devoted to helping class members to breathe diaphragmatically and worked on the far more important objectives of freeing them from their inhibitions and general reluctance to let themselves go, I would achieve quick and lasting results that were truly amazing. I thank God I had the sense to do this. That's all for today. Okay, this is day 10 of reading aloud for the next 30 days. Today we're gonna read some of the tongue twisters I have saved on my laptop right here. So yeah, let's read some. Adam ate an apple and Amanda ate an apricot. Can you can a can as a canner can a can? Dashing Danny danced at dawn. Grace gracefully greeted the grateful guests. How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? I have no idea what I am reading. If a dog chews shoes, whose shoes does he choose? I have a saw that can saw as much as a saw can saw when a saw can saw as much as a saw can saw. I slit the sheet I slit, and on the slitted sheet I sit. Ivy-eyed Ivor's ivory idol in the ivy. Okay, let's skip to maybe a few difficult ones. I wish to wash my Irish wristwatch. Jennifer juggles jugs of juicy juice. Quickly, quiet quails quiver in the quarry. Rita ran round the rough and rocked rock. She sees cheese, she sees cheese, she sees the cheese, she seized the cheese. Okay, here's one I like, actually. Betty Butler bought a bit of butter, but the butter Betty bought was bitter. So Betty bought a better butter, and the better butter Betty bought was better than the bitter butter Betty bought before. It's freaking amazing. Thank you for watching. Okay, this is day 11 of reading aloud. Let's read again some tongue twisters because they are fun and yeah, pretty fun to do. Okay. Okay, so let's read 3 of each difficulty category. So let's start with easy ones. Okay, I have got a date at 7:45. I'll see you at the gate, so don't be late. I wish to wish the wish you wish to wish. Free throws. Okay, let's get to intermediate. Walter's wagon wheel went westward with a wobbly whirl. Round and round the ragged rocks, the ragged rascal ran. Mighty Max made a map of the maze in the meadow. And let's read the 3 of the difficult ones. I just taken them from the side if you're wondering. Brisk, brave brigadiers brandished broad, bright blades, blunderbusses, and bludgeons, balancing them badly. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? And the last one. Silly Sally swiftly shooed 7 silly sheep. The 7 silly sheep Silly Sally shooed shilly-shalled south. This sheep shouldn't sleep in a shack. Sheep should sleep in a shed. Pretty funny. Okay, this is day 12 of reading aloud into the microphone for the next 30 days. Today we are testing the Loom setup. I've got my camera here and everything. And I googled for short everyday story. So we are on this page, everydayfiction.com. And we are reading a story called Ghost Walkers by Catherine Griffin. The warder and the priest come before dawn to rouse me from shivering non-sleep. Heads shaved, barefoot, we are pushed from the goal into the shadow of the cathedral. My fellow murderers are both men. The thin grey one wraps his arms and doesn't look up. The tall young man eyes the few people who have come to watch and nods as if he has recognized a friend. Not even my mother has come to see me. No one looks at me at all. The watchers stare and mutter. It's the thin man who draws their attention, and in no friendly way. The priest drones a long prayer, repeats the rules we all know. Walk from dawn to dusk. Do not leave the road, do not speak. Our ghosts drift about us, insubstantial as cobwebs, and for a blink I see one clear, a young man frowning. My husband is a flash of silver, a chill touching on my neck. I'll never let you go, never I'll see you dead, bitch. The thin man leads our small procession. The tall young man follows, striding as if the penitent sackcloth and cross weighed nothing, his ghost as a shimmer in the sunlight. The first hour my feet hurt. Now each speck of grit is an agony. Blood trails me like a slug struck. I could follow that red raw line back to my house, my life. Only there is no turning back. Not for me, not for any of us. My husband whispers. Amid the pain his voice is only noise, and irritation like the cross bumping my chest at every step. Heavy, heavy irons, so we don't forget, as if we could. The last houses fall behind. The road threads from one hill to the next, and on every hilltop a church spire nails the sky in place. The young man waits for me. You all right? We are not permitted to speak to each other, to anyone living except a priest. He smiles at the hedges. No one here to see. Only the ghosts and the thin man, and he walks ahead, looking neither right nor left. But I don't know if I want to talk to a murderer. He doesn't look like a killer, but neither does the man, did I? My name is Hall. Us two, we should stick together. A jerk of his head toward the thin man. Two silvery wisps haunt the thin man. They are very smart, his ghosts. I'm Lisa, I say. Slut, my husband whispers. I'm hardly cold, you creep, to the first man you see. Next morning, outside the church, the priest prays over us, a solid man with sandy eyebrows. Last night he brought salt water to wash my feet. I do not think he is unkind. The priest repeats the rules. While we obey the rules, the law protects us. The villagers whisper at that, angry whispers, because the law protects us from them. How slight I think the law is when it is all we have, the law and our ghosts, until we reach sanctuary. My husband breathes ice in my ear, then you'll pay. Okay, so like Loom limit is 5 minutes for the free versions, so I'm not gonna read the whole story unfortunately. But yeah, this is it for today. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Okay, this is day 13 of reading aloud for the next 40 days. Today we are reading some tongue twisters from some other site called angvid.com. So okay, let's go with 10. Truly rural. Truly rural. Truly rural. Good blood, bad blood, good blood, bad blood, good blood, bad blood. pre-shrunk silk shirts. Ed had edited it. Ed had edited it. We surely shall see the sunshine soon. Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? Fred fed Ted bread, and Ted fed Fred bread. I slit the sheet I slit, and on the slitted sheet I sit. A skunk sat on a stump and thunk, the stump stunk. But the stump thunk, the skunk stunk. Lesser leather never weathered weather better. Of all the vids I have ever viewed, I've never viewed a vid. I gotta scroll. Okay, once again. Of all the vids I have ever viewed, I've never viewed a vid as valued as Alex and Angvid viewed vid. That's it for today. Okay, this is day 14 of reading aloud. And here's the thing. I googled some other tongue twisters online and I've come up with a site. I read it yesterday, and these 5 I found I am struggling with these. To speak like truly rural. Like, I don't think that's the best accent I can get. Let's add the dot here. So yeah, she sees cheese. Okay, this might be pretty easy actually. But like truly rural. Truly rural. I don't know if it sounds good, but I found this, and also I recognized in myself I am struggling with words like early. So with the phrase earl and 2 letters connected together, which is this R and L. If these are together, I saw in myself that I am struggling with this. So let's try to read like some of these all words, okay? And this will be it for today. So we will start here. So girl, whirlwind, parallel, parallel, curling, surreal, twirl, swirl, squirrel, whirlpool, furl, churlish, earl, whirlgig, burlap, marlin, hurl, whirlwind, Jesus, snarl, carol, squirrel. It's like repeating. Yeah, but it was from ChatGPT, so what can you expect? Coral is also repeating, like 2 snars. Carl, Purlieu, this is the repeat basically. And let's get it. Early, nearly, pearl, earls, yearly, pearly, earlap, dearly, earlope, imperil, earlier, earluck, bear-like, earldoms, fearless, fearless, and let's get here. Talon, talent, tally, talkative, talisman, talk, talismanic, tall, tail, talking, talon, talented, tolly, toll, talic, talisman, talk, tolcum, tolt, tolly, talent, talisman, talon, talismanic, toll. And truly rural, truly rural, truly rural. We surely shall see the sunshine soon. Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? Okay, and that's it for today. Okay, this is day 15 of reading aloud for the next 30 days. Today we are reading Still Like an Artist, book by Austin Kleon. So chapter 2, don't wait until you know who you are to get started. If I would waited to know who I was or what I was about before I started being creative, well, I'd still be sitting around trying to figure myself out instead of making things. In my experience, it's in the act of making things and doing our work that we figure out who we are. You're ready. Start making stuff. You might be scared to start. That's natural. There's this very real thing that runs rampant in educated people. It's called imposter syndrome. The clinical definition is a psychological phenomenon in which people are unable to internalize their accomplishments. It means that you feel like a phony, like you're just winging it, that you really don't have any idea what you're doing. Guess what? None of us do. Ask anybody doing truly creative work, they'll tell you the truth. They don't know where the good stuff comes from. They just show up to do their thing every day. Have you ever heard of dramaturgy? It's a fancy term for something William Shakespeare spelled out in his play, As You Like It, about 400 years ago. All the words a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Another way to say this, fake it till you make it. I love this phrase. There are two ways to read it. Number one, pretend to be something you're not until you are. Fake it until you're successful, until everybody sees you the way you want them to. Or, number two, pretend to be making something until you actually make something. I love both readings. You have to dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And you have to start doing the work you want to be doing. I also love the book Just Kids by the musician Patti Smith. It's a story about how two friends who wanted to be artists moved to New York. You know how they learned to be artists? You start out as a phony and become real. Okay, let's call it a day. It's pretty late for me right now, so yeah, that was day 15. Okay, this is day 16 of reading aloud. Today we will read this book again, Still Like an Artist, just like yesterday, by Austin Kleon, and then we will read some tongue twisters from my Notion page. Let's go. Imitation is not flattery. We want you to take from us. We want you at first to steal from us because you can't steal. You will take what we give you and you will put it in your own voice, and that's how you will find your voice. And that's how you begin. And then one day someone will steal from you. Francis Ford Coppola. At some point you'll have to move from imitating your heroes to emulating them. Imitation is about copying. Emulation is when imitation goes one step further, breaking through into your own thing. There isn't a move that's a new move. The basketball star Kobe Bryant has admitted that all of his moves on the court were stolen from watching tapes of his heroes. But initially, when Bryant stole a lot of those moves, he realized he couldn't completely pull them off because he didn't have the same body type as the guys he was stealing from. He had to adapt the moves to make them his own. Conan O'Brien has talked about how comedians try to emulate their heroes, fall short, and end up doing their own thing. Johnny Carson tried to be Jack Benny, but ended up Johnny Carson. David Letterman tried to copy Johnny Carson, but ended up David Letterman. And Conan O'Brien tried to be David Letterman, but ended up Conan O'Brien. In O'Brien words, it is our failure to become our perceived ideal that ultimately defines us and makes us unique. Thank goodness. So here's a comparison between a good theft and a bad theft. So it's honor versus degrade, study versus skim, steal from many versus steal from one, credit versus plagiarize, transform versus imitate, and remix versus rip off. A wonderful flaw about human beings is that we are incapable of making perfect copies. Our failure to copy our heroes is where we discover where our own thing lives. That is how we evolve. So, copy your heroes, examine where you fall short, what's in there that makes you different. That's what you should amplify and transform into your own work. In the end, merely imitating your heroes is not flattering them. Transforming their work into something of your own is how you flatter them. Adding something to the world that only you can add. I have stolen all of these moves from all these great players. I just try to do them proud, the guys who came before, because I learned so much from them. It's all in the name of the game. It's a lot bigger than me. Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace. Okay, so that's all, and we've got 1 minute left. And let's get the notion. Girl, whirlwind, parallel, curling, surreal, twirl, swirl, squirrel, whirlpool, furl, churlish, earl, whirlgig, burlap, marlin, hurl, whirligig, snarl, carol, quarrel, whirl, carl, purlieu, early, nearly, pearl, earls, yearly, earlap, dearly, earlope, imperil, earlier, earlock, burlike, earldoms, fearless, pearlers, talent, talkative, talisman, talismanic, tall, tale, talking, talented, talk, talcum, talk. Okay, day 16 done. Okay, this is day 17 of reading aloud. Let's read once again Still Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. Chapter 5. Side projects and hobbies are important. The work you do while you procrastinate is probably the work you should be doing for the rest of your life. Jessica Hish. Practice productive procrastination. That's a good tongue twister, by the way. One thing I've learned in my brief career is the side projects that really take off. By side projects, I mean the stuff that you thought was just messing around. Stuff that's just play. That's actually the good stuff. That's when the magic happens. I think it's good to have a lot of projects going at once so you can bounce between them. When you get sick of one project, move over to another. And when you're sick of that one, move back to the project you left. Practice productive procrastination. Take time to be bored. One time I heard a coworker say, "When I get busy, I get stupid." Ain't that the truth? Creative people need time to just sit around and do nothing. I get some of my best ideas when I'm bored, which is why I never take my shirts to the cleaners. I love ironing my shirts. It's so boring. I almost always get good ideas. If you're out of ideas, wash the dishes. Take a really long walk. Stare at a spot on the wall for as long as you can. As the artist Myra Kalman says, avoiding work is the way to focus my mind. Take the time to mess around, get lost, wander. You never know where it's going to lead you. Don't throw any of yourself away. If you have 2 or 3 real passions, don't feel like you have to pick and choose between them. Don't discard. Keep all your passions in your life. This is something I learned from the playwright Stephen Tomlinson. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. Steve Jobs. Attention, do not leave your longings unattended. Don't worry about unity from piece to piece. What unifies all of your work is the fact that you made it. Tomlinson suggests that if you love different things, you just keep spending time with them. Let them talk to each other. Something will begin to happen. The thing is, you can cut off a couple passions and only focus on one, but after a while you'll start to feel phantom limb pain. I spent my teenage years obsessed with songwriting and playing in bands, but then I decided I needed to focus on writing. So I spent half a decade hardly playing any music at all. The phantom limb pain got worse and worse. About a year ago I started playing in a band again. Now I'm starting to feel whole. And the crazy thing is, rather than the music taking away from my writing, I find it interacting with my writing and making it better. I can feel that new synapses in my brain are firing, and new connections are being made. About half the people I work with are musicians. This is not uncommon in Austin, Texas. And they're not all creatives either. A lot of them are account executives, developers, and the like. However, they all tell you the same thing: music fits into their work. It's so important to have a hobby. A hobby is something creative that's just for you. You don't try to make money or get famous of it. You just do it because it makes you happy. A hobby is something that gives but doesn't take. While my art for the world is to see, while my art is for the world to see, music is only for me and my friends. We get together every Sunday and make noise for a couple of hours. No pressure, no plans. It's regenerative. It's like church. Don't throw any of yourself away. Don't worry about a grand scheme or unified vision for your work. Don't worry about unity. What unifies your work is the fact that you made it. One day you'll look back at it and it will all make sense. Yep, that's it for today. Okay, this is day 18 of reading aloud for the next 28 days. Okay, let's read some tongue twisters today. Today we're not gonna read the book. Okay, let's get it. Let's start with these. Truly rural, truly rural, truly rural. We surely shall see the sunshine soon. Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? Practice productive procrastination. It's a quote from a book, let's say, but it's nice. Practice productive procrastination. He threw 3 free throws. She sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. A noisy noise annoys an oyster. 11 elephants eagerly eat Easter eggs. Friendly frogs frolicked freely from France. I wish to wish the wish you wish to wish. Dashing Danny danced at dawn. Grace gracefully greeted the grateful guests. I slid the shit I slit, and on the slitted shit I sit. Mighty Max made a map of the maze in the meadow. A big black bug bit a big black bear. A box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. Black background, brown background. Irish wristwatch, Swiss wristwatch. I wish to wash my Irish wristwatch. I wish to wish the wish you wish to wish, but if you wish the wish the witch wishes, I won't wish the wish you wish to wish. Yeah, amazing sentence. Quickly, quiet quails quiver in the quarry. She sees cheese, she sees cheese, she sees cheese, she seized the cheese. Unique New York, unique New York. Okay, let's call it a day. Okay. Okay, this is day 19 of reading aloud for the next 28 days. Today we will read the last chapter of Still Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. So chapter 10, Creativity is Subtraction. In this age of information, abundance and overload, those who get ahead will be the folks who figure out what to leave out, so they can concentrate on what's really important to them. Nothing is more paralyzing than the idea of limitless possibilities. The idea that you can do anything is absolutely terrifying. The way to get other creative block is to simply place some constraints on yourself. It seems contradictory, but when it comes to your creative work, limitations mean freedom. Write a song on your lunch break. Paint a painting with only one color. Start a business without any startup capital. Shoot a movie with your iPhone and a few of your friends.
Build a machine out of spare parts. Don't make excuses for not working. Make things with the time, space, and materials you have right now. The right constraints can lead to your very best work. My favorite example, Dr. Seuss wrote The Cat in the Hat with only 236 different words. So his editor bet him he couldn't write a book with only 50 different words. Dr. Seuss came back and won the bet with Green Eggs and Ham, one of the best-selling children books of all time. Telling yourself you have all the time in the world, all the money in the world, all the colors in the palette, anything you want, that just kills creativity. The artist Saul Steinberg said, "What we respond to in any work of art is the artist's struggle against his or her limitations. It's often what an artist chooses to leave out that makes the art interesting. What isn't shown versus what is. It's the same for people. What makes us interesting isn't just what we have experienced, but also what we haven't experienced. The same is true when you do your work. You must embrace your limitations and keep moving. In the end, creativity isn't just the things we choose to put in, it's the things we choose to leave out. Choose wisely and have fun." Okay, so that's the end of the book. Amazing book. Recommend it to everyone.
Okay, this is day 20 of reading aloud for the next 28 days. Today we are reading 10x is easier than 2x. I've already started this book. It's an awesome book. Like, I am on page 39 out of 280, but it's an amazing book. Let's read it from here. Small goals don't require 80-20 thinking, because small goals don't require much adjustment from your current approach. Thus, the method requirement for separating the 20% that matters and the 80 that's taking you some other way is setting much bigger goals. This goes straight to the research on decision making and hope you have just covered, including some of Dr. Bernard's crucial insights on impossible goals. Only by stretching your goal far enough out can you parse out the 80% of your current activities and focus that won't get you there. Only when you make the goal big enough, 10x bigger, does it become absurdly and even comically obvious which strategies, relationships, or behaviors won't work. The 80%. This brings us to the 10x versus 2x framework developed by Dan Sullivan. Put simply, if you're going for 2x growth, then you can keep or maintain 80% of your existing life, or what you're now doing. And in fact, when you're going for 2x or linear growth, that's exactly what you're doing. 2x is operating from the past, primarily continuing the path you've already been on. 2x is linear. You're not going anything radically different. You're mostly just trying to do more of what you're now doing with as few changes as possible. 10x is the opposite of 2x. Going for 10x requires letting go of 80% of your current life and focus on going all in on the crucial 20% that's relevant and high impact. Every time you go 10x, this same process will occur. It applies every time you make a 10x jump, no matter how many 10x jumps you've made to this point. This framework is the foundation of 10x or 2x thinking. In order to achieve 10x, you cannot rely on your past self's thinking. What got you here won't get you there. Let's call it a day.
Okay, this is day 21 of reading aloud. It's gonna be a quick one. No camera, just let's do this quickly. Truly rural, truly rural, truly rural. We surely shall see the sunshine soon. She sells seashells by the seashore. Practice productive procrastination. Let's call it a day.
This is day 22 of reading aloud. Let's get it. Truly rural, truly rural, truly rural.
We surely shall see the sunshine soon. Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? He threw free throws. Practice productive procrastinations. She sells seashells by the seashore. A noisy noise annoys an oyster. 11 elephants eagerly eat Easter eggs. Friendly frogs frolicked freely from France. Free throws. Adam ate an apple and Amanda ate an apricot. Can you can a can as a canner can a can? Dashing Danny danced at dawn. Grace gracefully greeted the grateful guests. Ziggy the zebra zigzagged through the zoo with a zany zither. Okay. Quickly, quiet quails quiver in the quarry. Rita ran round the raft and rocked the rock. She sees cheese. She sees cheese. She sees the cheese. She seized the cheese. Unique New York. Unique New York. Let's call it a day. Okay, this is day 23 of reading aloud for the next 28 days. Today we're reading 10x is easier than 2x by Dan Sullivan. Once something became 2x, he let go that 80% go, passing it off to a capable or eliminating it altogether. He further simplified his life down to the 10x standard which most excited him, choosing an increasingly niche and nuanced 20% focus and mastery. Your identity is fundamentally two things. It's 1. The story of or narrative you have for yourself, and it's 2. The standards or commitments you hold for yourself. The scientific definition of identity is a well-organized conception of the self, consisting of values and beliefs to which the individual is solidly committed. Put simply, your identity as a person is what you're most committed to. It's the story about yourself you're committed to, and it's the personal standards you're most committed to. A standard is a level of quality and norm you set for yourself. When something is truly a standard, it's a commitment. You rarely, if ever, go outside or below your floor or minimum standard. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a standard. We're all committed to standards that we've set for ourselves, even if we don't realize it. Take, for example, my friend who is an avid World of Warcraft player. He invests about 16 hours per day playing and is one of the top players on his online server. Recently he told me he left his guild, the online community he was a part of. Why did you leave? I asked. They weren't up to my standard, he replied. I want to play with more serious players. Although you may not be interested in online video games, and neither am I, the point is that we all have standards we choose for ourselves. We choose the standards we care about as well as the level we hold those standards to. For instance, two people may be equally committed to tennis, though one may be professional and the other an amateur. The pro having much higher standards for the playing than the other. Elevating your committing to specific standards is how you evolve your identity. Elevating your standards and 10xing yourself involves a process outlined in Dan Sullivan's The 4 C's formula. 1. Commitment. 2. Courage. 3. Capability. And 4. Confidence. Nothing happens until you commit. As you commit to a specific standard for above your current capability and confidence, it pushes you outside your knowledge and comfort zone, hence courage. Through courageously adapting toward your commitment, you experience many losses and failures along the way, which you can utilize as feedback and learning. By adapting and applying your learning, you develop capabilities and skills you previously didn't have, which you would not have developed without having fully made the commitment. Commitment leads to mastery, wherein you've normalized the new standard. At this level, you have a higher degree of confidence. You're now 10x self. You're now your 10x self, and it's completely normal to you, despite the fact that both who you now are and your normal life are unfathomable to your past self. With a higher degree of confidence, You now see and attract bigger and better opportunities, which previously weren't available to you, enabling you to start the 4Cs cycle anew by making the new level 10x commitment. Letting go of 80% of your identity, including activities, situations, and people, can feel like an enormous loss. Letting go of who you have been, how people have seen you, and how others have related to you can feel like you're losing a big part to yourself. According to prospect theory, humans have an enormous aversion to loss. We fear and avoid loss far more than we seek gain. Loss aversion primarily manifests itself in three specific forms. 1. Continuing to invest in something unprofitable simply because you've already invested in it. An example, sunk cost bias. 2. Overvaluing something you own, believe, or have created simply because it's yours. And 3. Continuing to do something you have previously done in order to be viewed by yourself and others as consistent. Let's call it a day. Okay, this is day 24 of reading aloud for the next 28 days. Let's get it. All of those loss aversion tactics make it extremely hard to let go of the 80%. Thus, it's hard to let go of your current or former identity. Elevating your standards is not easy by any means. It's certainly much easier than continuing on a path just because that's what you've been doing. An example, 2x thinking. To go 10x, you live based on freedom. You choose the standards you want because that's what you intrinsically want. That's a new word. And you're not worried about other people's opinions. You flexibly evolve your identity, letting go of things that once made up a core component of who you were. It takes enormous commitment and courage to raise your minimum standard. Yet it's how you evolve yourself as a person, as Chad did when he committed to only working with clients with $100,000 or more to invest. For a period of time, you'll struggle reaching and clawing toward your new commitment, with many bumps and bruises along the way. This is the commitment and courage phase of Dance 4Cs. But over time, you will evolve yourself, your knowledge, and your capabilities until it becomes second nature to you. Elevating your identity and standards is primarily emotional and thus qualitative. Another new word, which is why psychological flexibility is so crucial to 10xing. To be psychologically flexible, you become increasingly comfortable and adaptive to situations and challenges which are initially uncomfortable to you. You see yourself as a context, not the content of your thoughts and emotions. As you evolve and expand yourself as a context, the content of your life, inside and out, simultaneously changes as well. You commit to the standards you want, even when it's uncomfortable for a brief time. By embracing your emotions rather than suppressing them, your identity quickly adapts to your new standards and you reach a place of acceptance. You have emotionally evolved and expanded as a person, wherein you feel comfortable and natural at the new standard. As the prominent and prolific spiritual and emotional teacher and scientist Dr. David Hawkins stated, "The unconscious will allow us to have only what we believe we deserve. If we have a small view of ourselves, then what we deserve is poverty, and our unconscious will see it that we have that actuality. To make something a new standard, you stop saying yes to the 80%. Your now 2x identity and standards that no longer fits. You embrace rejection and learning at the new standard until you reach a place of capability and confidence at the new standard. For instance, if you are a professional speaker and your current speaking fee is $25,000, raise your minimum fee to $50,000 and see what happens. Over the next few months, you may get a dozen speaking inquiries, and all of them but one reject your new fee of $50,000. Thus, you got 1 out of 12 at the new standard. Getting this one yes at $50,000 is 10x more valuable to your identity and confidence than getting 12 out of 12 yeses at the $25,000 level, even though in the short run you will be leaving a nice chunk of money on the table. Over time, you'll normalize your new standard. First, emotionally within, but then externally as your reputation, positioning, and level of mastery. As you do this, you retrain the outside world to see you in a new light. Your standards are the inner filter through which you operate, but also by which aligned people can know how to operate and collaborate with you. With chat history and your new understanding of shedding your 10x identity by elevating your minimum standards, the remainder of this chapter will deepen your understanding of the next level application of the 10x process, which is enhancing the quality and decreasing the quantity of everything you're doing. How you do anything is how you do anything, everything. What about you? What are the standards you hold for yourself? Were your standards chosen by you or adopted by the norms of those outside of you? What are your own minimum standards that you're focused on and committed to? What would happen if you dramatically elevated your standards? How can you move toward your 20% focus and mastery? What 80% would have to go? That's it. This is day 25 of reading aloud for the next 28 days. As we embrace the 10x process, you'll continually be doing and focusing on less. Yet decreasing the number of things you do will increase the quality, depth, and impact by 10x. By focusing on quality and quantity, by focusing on quality over quantity, such as Carson, Linda, and Chad did, you will experience exponential and non-linear results. Let's do this. Set unreachable goals and 10x the quality of what you do. 99% of people in the world are convinced they are incapable of achieving great things, so they aim for the mediocre. The level of competition is thus fiercest for realistic goals, paradoxically making them the most time and energy consuming. It's easier to raise $1 million than it is to raise $100,000. It's easier to pick up the perfect 10 in the bar than the 5 8s. Tim Ferriss. Jimmy Donaldson has shed his 2x identity again and again, never seeming to get stuck or plateaued in the place for too long. Jimmy displays a rare degree of psychological flexibility in that nothing seems too big or too much of a stretch for him. Nothing seems out of reach. In 2015, Jimmy was 17 years old. He was living at his mom's house in rural North Carolina. He was a middle-class white kid with few skills who made mediocre YouTube videos in his bedroom. Even still, he had high aspirations for himself, including becoming the #1 YouTuber in the world. Fast forward 7 years to 2022, and Jimmy, now aged 23, has nearly achieved his goal of becoming the #1 YouTuber in the world. Known by his alter ego and brand, Mr. Beast, Jimmy now had hundreds of millions of subscribers across his various social media channels. He has become the fastest rising internet sensation in the world. He has a team of over 150 people, and he leads or is involved in an umbrella of business which do nearly $1 billion in annual revenue. In March of 2022, Jimmy was interviewed on the Joe Rogan podcast. Joe asked Jimmy, "Do you have a lot of guys ask you for advice? Like, hey, I want to be like Mr. Beast." The question excited Jimmy. He asked Joe to open his Twitter feed, where he showed the 10x results of someone he'd recently mentored. Before I started mentoring him, he was doing 4.6 million views on YouTube per month, making 24 grand. Probably 7 to 8 months later, we got him up to 45 million views, and he had 400,000 month. Blown away, Joe asked, "What kind of advice did you give that makes such an exponential challenge?" Read Jimmy next response very carefully. It clarifies how he applies the 10x process to achieve exponential results by intentionally doing less. Here is his response. As weird as it sounds, it's much easier getting 5 million views on one video than 100,000 views on 50 videos. You could upload one great video per year and get more views than if you uploaded 100 mediocre videos. It's very exponential. To do well on YouTube, you just need people to click on your videos and watch them. If you get people to click your video 10% more and watch your video 10% longer than mine, you don't get 10% more views. You get like 4 times the views. You have to think exponentially. A 10% better video gets 4 times the views, not 10% more views. Once you understand that, your funnel, your energy better, and you really hyper obsess over these videos. Triple the amount of time you're putting into that video, because you're not going to get triple the views. You're going to 10x the views. So I help those I mentor make videos really good and also help them build out a team like an editor. Because if you're doing 5 jobs, then you can only put 20% of your time into each. If you hire an editor, that editor can put 100% of his time into that. You can't spend 10 hours per day editing, but he can. Good advice. Let's call it a day. Okay, this is day 26 of reading aloud for the next 28 days. This is where we finished last time. To reach the level of quality that produces exponential results, you need to think exponentially bigger and different. You've got to have a vision and standards big enough and specific enough that the quality you're creating is funneled toward that. If your goal is small, such as 2x, then your efforts will mostly be wasted. You're not being stretched. You may technically be getting more proficient at what you're doing, but you're not evolving or innovating. You're just depending your habitual grooves, which doesn't mean you're actually getting better. It's not effort that matters, but where that effort is directed. Whatever you focus on and commit to, you become the master of. It is for this reason that the proposed 10,000 rule, presented by pop psychologist Malcolm Gladwell, is phony baloney. It isn't 10,000 hours that creates outliers, said an entrepreneur and angel investor Naval Ravikant. It's 10,000 iterations. Yes, reps matter, but only when those reps are directed toward a 10x upgrade. Without a 10x goal that your reps are directed to, you'll just be repeating the same form and errors over and over. You'll be optimizing for more of what you already got, not something of an entirely new and different quality. Most people miss the gold coins around them because they are focused on finding the bronze coins. They're committed to the bronze coins. Their identity is wrapped in the bronze coins. They are optimizing themselves and their lives for bronze coins. You get what you're focused on. You master at the level of your focus and standards. Does this mean reps and quantity effort don't matter? Of course not. Jimmy has made and produced literally thousands of YouTube videos at this point. That's a lot of reps. The difference between Jimmy and the millions of other people who have also made hundreds, thousands, and even tens of thousands of YouTube videos is that Jimmy's vision and standards are impossibly bigger than anyone else's. Indeed, he was very intent on becoming the #1 YouTuber in the world, and he wasn't private about it. To reach that standard, he needed to become uniquely brilliant at creating videos that hundreds of millions of people watched. To do that, he needed a growing team of committed people to help him. He never got trapped in the 80%. He is laser focused on his 20% and getting better at what he does. He's always upping his game, always raising his standards for himself. The quality of Jimmy's videos is ultimately why we know who he is. If his videos weren't any good, he could have millions of videos with 0 views. He developed the ability to produce the quality of videos he does because he commits himself to impossibly high goals and holds himself and the work he does to impossibly high standards. His transformation and evolution weren't accidental, they were purposeful. As Aristotle stated, it is absurd to suppose that purpose is not present because we do not observe the agent deliberating. The philosophical term for purpose is teleology. which means that all human action is driven towards or caused by a specific aim. The word telos means the end or cause of a thing. Everything we do as people is driven by our goals or standards. You become whatever you are striving for. Your goal shapes your process. Your goal also shapes your personal development and evolution. Here's where it gets really interesting though. When you dissect what Jimmy is explaining, and honestly, when you simply break down the core message of his book, despite the fact that all people are driven by their goals, and that we all form a level of proficiency in whatever we focus on, the counterintuitive truth is that massive ambitions are easier than average goals. In other words, 10x is easier than 2x. Okay, it is day 27 of reading aloud. Today we're reading, once again, 10x is easier than 2x by Dan Sullivan. Let's get it. As Jimmy described, when you think exponentially, it's no longer about the amount of effort you put in. Instead, it's about where your effort is directed and what your effort is directed toward. When you're thinking 2x, you're actually exhausting far more energy and effort than person thinking 10x. The 10x thinker is allowing their 10x vision to guide them in radically innovative and different directions, which the 2x thinker could never consider nor comprehend. As Dan Sullivan explained, when 10x is your measuring stick, you immediately see how you can bypass what everyone else is doing. Furthermore, the 10x thinker is solving a far more nuanced and niched problem. Rather than thinking broadly, they are thinking deeply and narrowly. They are deep in their 20% and have freed themselves of the cognitive load of the 80%. They aren't trying to do 100 things decently. They're trying to do one thing at a level that's never been seen before. Taking this idea further, that focusing on exponential goals is easier than linear goals because exponential goals produce a much different and more specific form of quality. Dr. Alan Bernard, the expert on constraint theory referenced in Chapter 1, gave me the following example. If you're trying to make 100 million, rather than solving 100 problems at $100,000 each, it's much easier attempting to solve a single $30 million problem. For multiple reasons. First, by pouring your attention into the $30 million problem, you develop learning and expertise at that level. The level of quality and depth to solve that single problem will be fundamentally different than the quality and depth to solve 100 cheaper and broader problems. Another reason it's easier focusing on quality over quantity, Dr. Bernard explains, is that by trying to solve a $30 million problem, you don't have to be perfect. You have given yourself a huge margin for error that even if you only achieve 1/3 of that goal, you'll reach your 10 million standard. It's easier to find one person to pay you $1 million than to find 10 people who will pay $100,000. It's exponentially easier to find one person to pay you $1 million than to find 100 people to pay $10,000. In real estate, it's easier to get one property worth 10 million than 20 properties, each worth 500,000 million. Bro, what am I reading? Each worth $500,000. Once acquired, the management of the single property is infinitely easier and less time consuming than managing the 20. In the 1959 classic book The Magic of Thinking Big, Dr. David Schwartz wrote, "A personal selection executive told me that he receives 50 to 250 times as many applicants for jobs that pay $10,000 per year as for jobs that pay $50,000 a year. This is to say that there is at least 50 times as much competition for jobs on second-class street as for jobs on first-class avenue. First-class avenue, USA, is a short, uncrowded street. Although the income levels are outdated in Dr. Schwartz's analysis, the concept remains ironclad. In all aspects of life, the competition is highest for average goals. Not only is the competition highest, but the excitement is lowest and the pathway forward is dramatically more complex and confusing with small and linear goals. With unrealistic, impossible, or 10x level goals, the competition is lowest, the excitement is highest, and the pathway forward becomes simple and non-linear. You stop following the crowd. You shift toward quality rather than quantity and stop competing with anyone. What about you? Are you living exponentially or linearly? Are you focused on effort or volume, or are you creating something qualitatively different and better than anything else out there? Are you spread thin, doing 5 or more different jobs, or do you have a growing team or people handling you for mere 80%?
Okay, this is day 28 of reading aloud. Last day. Let's get it. Truly rural, truly rural, truly rural. Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? He threw free throws. Probably practice productive procrastination. Really think linearly, exponentially. She sells seashells by the seashore. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He would as much as he could and chuck as much wood as a woodchuck would if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A big black bug bit a big black bear. A box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. A proper copper coffee pot. Black background, brown background. Crouching cautiously, Carmen collected curious crickets. How much caramel can a canny cannonball cram in a camel if a canny cannonball can cram caramel in a camel? If two witches were watching two watches, which witch would watch which watch? Imagine an imaginary manager managing an imaginary managerie. Irish wristwatches, Swiss wristwatch. I wish to wash my Irish wristwatch. Jennifer juggles jugs of juicy juice. Carl's colorful kite caught a colossal king-sized koala. Near an ear, a nearer ear, a nearly eerie ear. Once again. Near an ear, a nearer ear, a nearly eerie ear. Oranges often offer optimal opportunities for orange orchids. Pod, kid, poured, cord, pulled cod. Quickly quiet quails quiver in the quarry. Rita ran round the rough and rugged rock. She sees cheese, she sees cheese, she sees the cheese, she seized the cheese. Sixth sick shikes, sixth ship is sick. 6 slick swans swam swiftly southwards. The 33 fish thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. The seething sea ceaseth, and thus the seething sea sufficeth us. Timmy tickled Tiny Steamtoe, and Tiny Tim giggled. Unique New York, you need unique New York. Violet Vixens viciously vow to vex the vaccination in Valencia. Okay, that's it for today. It was the last day today. I'm really proud of myself. I think I improved a lot. Let's call it a day.